How much bass can a bass trap trap? Does your hi-fi system produce so much bass that it rattles your windows and furniture, even at moderate listening levels? Or perhaps bass notes sound flabby and monotone? If so, your room needs additional acoustical treatment, such as sound absorbing panels. This video will suggest tools that can help you determine what treatment is required, where to locate them, and predict their effect on your listening room. My own experience is quite limited to acoustic foam panels and DIY bass traps. Professional advice is often available for a nominal fee if you purchase products from their company. Even if you go this route, it might be useful to understand some of the concepts and terminology mentioned in this video. The primary objective of treating a listening room is to obtain the best sound possible from your audio system. You want to hear music without any coloration that the room may impart. Clear articulation of musical instruments and intelligibility of song lyrics are important. These are the same criteria you might use when upgrading components of your audio system. The objective is not to soundproof your room. Mind you, the rest of your family might appreciate keeping out your music, their noise, out of their space. The objective is also not to overly reduce the reverberation of your room. While an acoustically quiet room might be good for a home theater or home recording studio, two-channel music may sound flat and lifeless in an overdamped room. For this video, I will use my listening room as an example. It is rectangular in shape with plaster-on lath walls and ceiling and a hardwood floor. The dimensions are approximately 29 feet long, 12.5 feet wide, and 8 3/4 feet high. The room volume is 3,062 cubic feet. There are several acoustical challenges to this room. First, it is a shared living space with half used as a dining room. The front wall is mostly comprised of windows. On the left side wall, between the speakers and listening position, is a brick fireplace. On the opposite side is a double glass French door. The rear wall is also mostly a double French door inset from the wall. Another glass panel door is along a rear side wall. Because your room is an enclosed space, sound waves from your loudspeakers will pressurize the room and cause certain frequencies to resonate and create standing waves. These standing waves can rattle items in the room, such as window glass and your audio equipment. Standing waves at your listening position will interfere with the sound you hear from your loudspeakers. Standing waves that are picked up by your turntable or CD player can, possibly, mess up their ability to reproduce music properly. Knowing what room resonance frequencies are predominant in your listening room and where they are located can help optimize the placement of acoustical treatments. There are 3 types of room modes: axial, tangential, and oblique. For more information on these different types, go to www.mcsquared.com. This diagram shows axial standing waves that are most likely to occur along the length, width, and height of this listening room. Notice the maximum sound pressure levels of these standing waves occur at the 4 corners of the room. Placing bass traps at these locations can go a long way towards reducing standing waves so that they do not interfere with the music you hear. You can see there are other locations of maximum sound pressure from standing waves. Additional acoustic treatment at these locations could also be helpful. For this example, the bass trap should absorb frequencies from 19 Hz to 292 Hz to soak up energy from the first to the 4th mode frequencies. Since most speakers can't reproduce 19 Hz, a more realistic goal is to absorb the higher frequencies. Low frequencies have a lot of energy relative to higher frequencies and are more difficult to absorb. The following chart shows some of the terminology used for sound absorption. A Sabin is a measure of the effective sound absorption of a room and is the sum of sound absorption coefficients multiplied by the surface area of various materials at specific frequencies. NRC stands for Noise Reduction Coefficient of building materials and is the average of absorption coefficients across all frequencies. STC is sound transmission class of building materials, sound blocking ability in dB, for instance. A product with a STC 50 rating reduces sound transmission by 50 dB. RT60 is the time for a sound to decay by 60 dB from its original level. Higher sound absorption results in lower reverberation time. The following chart shows a range of reverberation times for an auditorium and the pros and cons for music and speech. A reverberation range of 1.5 to 2.5 seconds is deemed ideal for both speech and music. Online calculators are available to help determine the reverberation characteristic of a room. Here is one example from Georgia State University. RT60 values can be calculated using the Sabin formula, named after the person who established this relationship. So RT60 is equal to a constant factor times the room volume divided by total Sabins, and Sabins is equal to the area of a surface times its absorption coefficient. There are many surfaces and materials in a room that can absorb sound. Here's a list of absorption coefficients for various building materials and surfaces. Some materials absorb more sound at lower frequencies than at higher frequencies. For instance, gypsum wallboard has an absorption coefficient of 0.3 at 125 Hz, but only 0.04 at 1000 Hz. A value of 1 means 100% of the sound is absorbed. A value of 0 means 100% of the sound is reflected back into the room. To confuse matters, there are absorption coefficients greater than 1. Here are the RT60 results for my room at 125 Hz, 1000 Hz, and 4000 Hz before room treatment. I am using the online calculator from www.csgnet.com because it can factor in building materials as well as other surfaces like windows and upholstered furniture. Notice that reverberation times increase with frequency. Higher frequencies are more inclined to reflect off surfaces than be absorbed by them. Reverberation adds richness to the sound, but should not interfere with it. Now that we know the RT60 characteristics of the listening room, we can consider the effect of adding bass absorption through the use of various acoustic treatments that are commercially available. GIK Acoustics and Acoustic Sciences Corp., or ASC, are two of many suppliers of bass traps and acoustic panels. Absorption coefficient information is provided in their product specifications, but are not directly comparable without some mathematical calculations. Let's first look at the GIK TriTrap corner bass trap, which comes as a pair. For my room example, I will use the RT60 impact of installing a pair of GIK TriTrap corner bass units. The RT60 values before the application of bass traps at the three frequencies are 0.78 seconds at 125 Hz, 1.86 seconds at 1000 Hz, and 2.4 seconds at 4000 Hz. To calculate Sabins, I can use the equation in note 2 and the RT60 values, and I come up with 192 Sabins at 125 Hertz. The Sabins of the GIK TriTrap at this frequency is 13. So the total Sabins is 205, an increase of 3.6%. Using the equation in note 3, I'm able to calculate the RT60 values after adding the bass traps. So you can see that the reverberation time has decreased to 0.73 seconds, a difference of 0.05 seconds. At higher frequencies, reverberation times do decline more significantly by 0.2 seconds at 1000 Hertz and 0.26 seconds at 4000 Hertz, well within the 1.5 to 2.5 second range recommended for music and speech. The ASC Tube Trap specifications are expressed as absorption coefficients for various diameter sizes. Let's estimate the Sabins of an 11-inch diameter tube trap. So the net absorptive area is 5.75 square feet. The absorption coefficient for the 11-inch model at 125 Hertz is approximately 1. So the Sabins for a pair of these tube traps at 125 Hertz is equal to approximately 11.5. These calculations suggest the 11-inch ASC Tube Trap provides 1 Sabin less absorption at 125 Hertz, but significantly more at 1000 and 4000 Hertz when compared to the GIK TriTraps. Lastly, let's look at DIY bass traps. Roxol Safe and Sound insulation offers sound absorption as well as fire protection for various building applications. A 3-inch bat provides an absorption coefficient of 0.52 at 125 Hertz, 0.96 at 250 Hertz, 1.18 at 500 Hertz, and 1.07 at 1000 Hertz. I used this material to build a pair of small bass trap panels. These were 24 inches high by 20 inch wide by 4 inches deep. I used 2.5 inches of Roxol plus a 1.5 inch acoustic panel. The absorptive area is equal to the front plus the 4 sides, which are made of pegboard. So the total surface area is 832 square inches or 5.78 square feet. The number of Sabins is therefore 2.48 or 4.9 for a pair. These DIY tube traps add about 5 Sabins of absorption, or about 38% of what the GIK TriTraps can achieve. I use this pair at the top rear corners of my room and a similarly sized pair at the top front corners. I can say that most of the time the bass boom is no longer an issue and that the bass I hear is tight and tuneful. These are mathematical simulations of how bass traps could affect reverberation in a listening room. For small spaces like home music listening rooms, RT60 measurements are considered inaccurate as the sound captured by the measurement microphone is not diffused, meaning it doesn't reflect off all the surfaces of a large hall, but rather from a few surfaces in a small space. That said, using room resonance calculators and RT60 calculators can provide a rough estimate of the room's sound absorption and reverberation characteristics. In my opinion, it's a better approach than trial and error. Your ears, however, should be the final arbiter on whether bass traps make a sonic improvement to your listening room. I hope some of the tools and tips in this video will help enhance your listening experience. Happy listening!